This is Legacy Battle. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, notification button. I'm Michael Adams, creator of Legacy Battle. My co-host tonight from Steelers Nation South is Rollo Cawthon, and we are joined by a PGA golfer, collegiate golfer, for a debate of the greatest collegiate golfer of the last 50 years. So our guest is an All-American, two-time Virginia Collegiate Player of the Year. He'd play in the Nationwide Tour where he was the 2008 Player of the Year and earned his PGA card. You can also find him now on the Golf Channel. So we want to welcome, I hope I say this right, Zimbabwean golfer Brendon DeYoung. Brendon, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me, guys. Look forward to it.
Excellent. As always, we'll have our Q&A after for him about his career, but we're going to start tonight with Rollo. Who are you bringing us?
I'm going to start with Ben Crenshaw, or Gentle Ben, as he was known on the PGA Tour. He's from Austin, Texas. He played at the University of Texas from 1971 to 1973 and was a SWC medalist in 1972 and 1973. He also was an NCAA medalist in 1971 and 1973 and was co-medalist in 1972 with teammates and childhood friend Tom Kite. He was the first freshman to win medalist honors at the national championship with a record of 15 under par for the tournament. He was also the outstanding college golfer 3 years in a row. During his college career, Gentle Ben recorded a 70.61 stroke average, winning 16 tournaments. He is also one of two golfers all time to win the Haskin Award 3 times in a row. We'll mention somebody on this debate about that. But what would make Crenshaw the greatest college golfer was that he was on the same team as another great college golfer, Tom Kite. Even though it was Kite that was he was a great golfer in his own right, it was Crenshaw who won all the individual awards and helped bring Texas its first national title in golf in school history. Gentle Ben was inducted into the University of Texas Hall of Honor in 1984.
So, Brendon, a little bit before your time here, I think we have two guys here that are a little bit before your time, but just the name Crenshaw and Kite on the same team. What are you thinking when you hear that? That sounds unfair to me.
Oh, very much so. I mean, you get two guys like that on the same college team, and well, there's going to be a lot of success. There were a few things there that caught my attention. 16 wins. It's hard to win in college. It really is. That and then averaging just over 70. There's a lot of distractions when you first get into college. There's a lot of routes that you could go down, but to average right around that 70 number is very, very impressive. And obviously, we're debating one of the best collegiate players of all time here, and well, he's got a very good case.
Was any weaknesses in his game? I mean, was he better at the long game, the putting? What do you think?
He was never a power player by any means. I think he would probably be the first to tell you that he never hit the ball that far, but renowned as one of the best putters of all time, and I mean, still regarded to have one of the best strokes of all times. No surprise that as a pro, he won twice at Augusta on those greens. But yeah, it was just an absolutely beautiful putting stroke, and one that is emulated by a lot of pros now.
So we're going to move to our next golfer, and we'll welcome Penn State Collegiate All-Star Kevin Adams, who knows a little something about partying in college. Penn Stater there. So who are you bringing, Kevin?
Yeah, so I'm bringing Phil Mickelson. Currently still plays the LIV Golf League. He's one of only 17 players to win 3 or 4 majors professionally. All right, so he attended Arizona State University on a golf scholarship, became face of the amateur golf for the United States, captured 3 NCAA individual championships and 3 Haskin Awards in 90, 91, 92 as the outstanding golfer in the collegiate field there. With his 3 NCAA championships, he shares the record for the most individual NCAA championships alongside Ben Crenshaw. He also led the Sun Devils to the NCAA team title in 1990. Over the course of his collegiate career, he won 16 tournaments. He also won the Jack Nicklaus Award in 90, 91, and 92. Mickelson was he still is, a very aggressive golfer. He likes to be a little bit risky. He's not afraid to go for those, shots where you should probably lay up. And he's not really known for his driving, but I will say his short game is impeccable. Um, Great short game. He's decent at putting. Great golfer. But yeah, he's got the accolades in college as well.
So Brendon with lefty, I mean, we could
Yeah.
probably talk all day about the move to live, but we'll leave that where it's at. As Kevin said, he likes to take chances. I don't know how familiar you are with the collegiate part of his career, but was he doing that in college that you know of? And does he take too many chances in your opinion?
Yes, and yes. What was doing that hasn't changed his game a whole lot from the collegiate to the pro. I've been very fortunate to play a lot of golf with Phil. There's a reason why he's a crowd favorite. He's going to take every single shot on. There's nothing that he thinks he can't handle, which is great to watch. There's some of the results are great, some of them don't work out so well, but you know what, he's always going to be exciting, and I love the fact that he kind of owned it as well. He said, "Listen, I'm here to entertain. I'm going to be one of those guys that the crowds want to watch." He kind of took the mantra over from Arnold Palmer. And listen, I heard Kevin talk about Mickelson's short game. It's second to none. It really is. There's shots that he can hit that nobody else can, including some of those shots that are probably a little bit too risky. But you know what? You remove Tiger Woods, and Phil Mickelson may have been the most successful golfer of all time. You know, Tiger picked him so many times in so many tournaments and in so many majors. But yeah, to answer your question, getting back to the college stuff, obviously it was before my time collegiately, but I do know a lot of people that played with him, and nothing's changed. He was a risk taker, and that has again carried on to the professional scene.
There's been a lot of things, let's just say bad said about Phil, but I just want to say something positive here about him. Kevin and I's grandmother at Oakmont Country Club, he gave her a hug, and it just made her absolute like day and month and year. So it was an incredible moment for her.
Took a picture
God
with her
bless
too.
her. Yeah, took a picture and everything. So, Lefty, he was good to his fans there, out there on the course. So I respect that. But well, let's move to our third player here tonight. We'll be discussing four, and that is going to be Charles Howell III. He is from Oklahoma State University, born to be a golfer. He was born in Augusta. I mean, if you're born in Augusta, how can you not be a golfer? I mean, that just says it all right there. But in 2000, he leads OSU to a team national championship. And he also was the individual winner with a record 23 under par. So that's pretty impressive. I'm usually 23 over par. So 23 under par is pretty impressive. So that year he wins the Haskin Award as the best collegiate golfer in the nation there. Now, while at OSU, he's a three-time All-American from 98 to 2000 straight. Now, and he also holds the NCAA record for the lowest score in 4 rounds with 265. And that record is now held for 24 years. So, athletes are just continuing to get better and better and better as time goes on. The more we learn about body and nutrition and things you can put in your body. So 24 years, that's still holding. I think that's pretty strong. And he's won over 42 million. I know we're not talking PGA, but he's won over 42 million in the PGA. And of course, now he's in Live as well. But I like his nickname here. I'm going to finish with his nickname, Chucky Three Strikes. So love the nickname. Now, Brandon, this is the exact opposite of Phil. I've always felt Charles Howell III was conservative when he's out there on the course. So, what are your thoughts on Charles?
Well, the knock on Charles professionally was that he didn't win enough. He had many opportunities where he didn't close the door. I would love to be managing his retirement fund because he was continuously cashing big checks and padding that, but definitely didn't win as much as he should have for someone so talented. Charles was in college at about the same time I was, and I tell you what, he did a very good job of staying down that straight and narrow. Charles was golf all the way. Played for college coach Mike Holder, who very renowned college coach, and he was kind of a disciplinarian. So those Oklahoma State guys, they were kind of made to stay on that straight and narrow. But that was the way Charles wanted it. He wanted to play golf. He wanted to do everything everything in his power to be as good as he could possibly be. And I tell you what, you won't find anybody that's going to outwork this guy either. He is a grinder. You would very often see him on the end of the range when everybody else was gone, and he'd be the last one there hitting balls and working on his game. And he loved it. He's one of those guys that really enjoyed working to get better, and he enjoyed the whole process of being a range rat.
So we're going to finish out with what I considered was our dark horse tonight. I think he has an outside shot here to pick it up. We'll see what happens. Rollo, you got blessed with giving us 2 tonight. Who's your second guy?
I got Justin Leonard, another Texas Longhorn, born in Dallas, Texas. He was a Longhorn from 91 to 94 and is the only 4-time SWC championship medalist. He was also a member of 4 SWC title runs. In 92, as a sophomore, Justin Leonard won the 92 Western Amateur, Southern Amateur, and U.S. Amateur. He is one of 11 golfers all time to win the Western Amateur in 124 years of that tournament, and he's one of 19 to win the Southern Amateur more than once. He is one of 18 to win the U.S. Amateur of all 3 tournaments. He was a 2-time All-American in 93 and 94 and won the Haskins Award in 94. For those who don't know, the Haskins Award is the golf equivalent to the Heisman Trophy. Also in 94, he became only the 4th player all time to go directly from college to the PGA Tour without going through Q School. The others were George Halberg, Scott Verplank, and of course Phil Mickelson. Justin Leonard was inducted into the University of Texas Hall of Fame in 2004.
So Justin is another guy that I felt like maybe could have won a little more on the PGA Tour than what he has. I mean, he's been a good player, but your thoughts on him?
Yeah, Justin was another one who was the complete opposite of Mickelson. Was very, very methodical. Managed his game. Was a tactician. Very much a sort of A to B player out there. He didn't take a whole lot of risks. Didn't hit the ball like Phil. Wasn't as naturally talented as a Phil. But in the mold of a Ben Crenshaw, very, very good putter. Very, very good around the greens. And I think that the best thing about Justin Leonard was he didn't waste shots. He could go through an entire round, and you would add it up, and he shot the best possible score that he could. So yeah, he certainly did not go out there and waste shots. And again, I think a lot of that was because physically his capabilities were not as that of a Phil Mickelson.
Well, we're gonna move into our vote here. Rollo, I know you picked up 2, so if you feel that you want to vote for one of those guys, you can. So I'm gonna let you start the vote now, Rollo.
I mean, I really got to go Mickelson with this one. Yeah, that's kind of easy for me.
Kevin?
I gotta go with Crenshaw. Him and Mickelson were tired in the Haskins and titles in NCAA. So
Yeah, I was kind of torn between Lefty and Crenshaw myself, and I think the easy answer is to say Phil. But if you're saying Phil, you might be saying it just because he was so much better than everyone else when they got to the PGA. So I'm actually going to take Crenshaw, and Crenshaw did it in a different time period than what Phil did, and they didn't have the equipment that they have later on. So I'm taking Crenshaw. Brendon, who would you take?
I agree with all of you guys there. It's certainly between Crenshaw and Mickelson. Both of those guys, the only 2 guys to have ever won 3 NCAA individuals. But I would have to go with Phil. Phil was 4-time first-team All-American to Crenshaw's 3. Phil won a PGA Tour event as an amateur while he was still in college. Yeah, they've both got 16 tournament wins, but yeah, for me it's Mickelson.
So a win for Kevin tonight. So good for you. We're gonna move into our Q&A. We'll go Kevin, Rollo, me.
all right, so I want to take you to 2014. You had a playoff against Robert Streb and Will McKenzie. What's it like going into that playoff? Teeing it up there, and like nerves have got to be there. Like I freak out if some regular Joe is watching me. I can only imagine going into a playoff in the PGA Tour is pretty crazy. So what was that like?
Kevin, it's actually kind of a weird feeling. Like the nerves for me were much greater still playing the tournament than when I was in the playoff. And I think a big part of that was because when you get in the playoff, it doesn't matter how bad you screw it up, the worst you're going to finish is runner up. You're still in the tournament and you go out there and you make a triple on your last hole or something, and all of a sudden you fall to tie for eighth or something, and well, human nature has us looking in the newspaper the next day or checking your phone and seeing how many hundreds of thousands of dollars you cost yourself or how many FedEx Cup points or whatever it is. So I actually didn't feel really nervous in the playoff. But yes, the nerves were there at the end of regulation trying to get into the playoff.
Brendon, you were part of a foursome with Ernie Els, Tiger Woods, and Matt Kuchar, but you beat Tiger Woods. What was that feeling like? And tell us a little bit about that day and everything about it.
Robert, it was a weird day. It was actually 2 days. We started our match, and then it was an alternate shot match, Ernie and I against Tiger and Cooch, and the weather got absolutely terrible. So we got rained out when we were on the 10th hole, and then we had to come back and finish the next morning. And we were in a really good position at the time. I think we were 3 up through 10, and we kind of carried that on. This was the President's Cup in 2013. We carried that on, and we were 3 up with 4 holes to go. And then Tiger hit one of these miraculous shots. He hit this 5-wood to 2 feet. They made eagle there, so we were 2 up with 3 to go. And I pulled an 8-iron straight into the middle of the lake on 16. So we were 1 up with 2 to go. And of course, Ernie and I are thinking, oh gosh, here we go. Tiger's going to pull one of these unbelievable comebacks. Then he, thank goodness, missed a very makeable putt on 17. So we were 1 up going up the last. And Ernie was struggling with the putter at the time. And I hit a chip shot up there to about 5 feet. And Ernie made it right in the middle. And I tell you what, he had so much scar tissue from battling Tiger through the years that he was so excited to make that putt, and obviously that excitement kind of resonated on me as well. And it was an awesome feeling. It really was a nice feather to have in your cap to beat those 2 guys.
So Nick Price, one of the all-time greats, probably the most successful Zimbabwean golfer. Was he an idol of yours? And if not, who were your idols? Who'd you look up to that, is saying, I'm going to get into golf because of this guy?
Oh, Nick, 100%. So when I was growing up and trying to figure out what I wanted to do, was right around the time when Nick was #1 in the world. So we didn't have to look too far to find an inspiration or find an idol. And he used to come back to Zimbabwe and play the Zimbabwe Open. So I got to meet Nick as a young teenager. Didn't know him real well, but he was really good about sitting down with some of the younger guys and answering all our questions, and very patient with all of us. And he'd come watch us hit balls, and if we asked him for some help, he'd be willing to help us. So he came back, and I played in the Zimbabwe Open with him, I think 3 times when I was 16, 17, and 18. And then when I came over here, I kind of, after I finished college, I reached out to Nick and got to know him a little bit better. And now he's actually a very good mate of mine. I used to spend the week down with him at the Honda Classic every year, where they're actually playing this week now, the Cognizant, excuse me. Always used to spend the week down there with him, and we would have a bunch of beers. We'd start playing cricket in his house and stuff, and it was just got to know him very, very well, and it was a cool week always, one that I look forward to. But yes, Nick was the reason that I gave golf a go, and as I say, didn't have to look too far to find a good idol.
One more each, same order, guys.
So you've played some pretty decent courses there: Pebble Beach, Pinehurst. Our aunt and uncle, actually, Mike and I's aunt and uncle used to live like right down the street in Pinehurst from that resort. And then my grandmother lived right down the road from the U.S. Open at Oakmont Country Club. Yeah. So which course is the one that's like the most daunting and most challenging for you?
A lot, Kevin, is condition wise, obviously, and Pinehurst during the U.S. Open. I played the U.S. Open there in
14,
whatever year that was, 10, 12, somewhere around there. And that to me was very, very difficult. Now you play Pinehurst on just a regular day, it's not quite as hard. The defense of the golf course is the greens, and those greens were very, very firm, excuse me, for a US Open. Pebble Beach, the same way. Pebble Beach is a very easy golf course when it's soft and there's no wind. Pebble Beach becomes a very, very difficult golf course when those greens get firm. They're tiny. People don't realize just how small those greens are and how much undulation is in those greens when they get firm. So I played a US Open there in 2010. And to me, I think that was the hardest golf course I played with that setup.
Brandon, what was your signature moment on the course, in your opinion? Maybe is your favorite, your best finish, your best shot. What is your signature moment on the course?
You know what, Robert? I'd probably go back to that President's Cup. That to me was the highlight of my golfing career. Unfortunately I never won on tour. I screwed up a bunch of tournaments. I had lots and lots and lots of chances. Could never cross the line out there. I would have to say making that President's Cup team was the highlight for me. And then not only that, but actually after I'd made that team performing well, I probably played my best week of golf as a whole that week. And to perform under probably the most pressure I'd ever played under was kind of cool and something that I could certainly look back on and be pretty proud of.
So tell us about the Wego Filet Show on Five Clubs Golf, how people can watch it, and tell us what you do for the Golf Channel when you do appear on that.
Yeah, so Gary Williams, who spent the longest time with the Golf Channel, wonderful, wonderful host with the Golf Channel, he now has started this thing called Five Clubs and invited Johnson, Wagner, and myself to be contributors to the Five Clubs Golf. It's Gary Williams and then Gil Hanse, the legendary now designer. Gil Hanse is part of that. Jay Billis, the basketball player, is part of that as well. And we're kind of a bunch of guys that are all together, and we talk golf. We all love golf, love the game. But Johnson, Wagner, and myself do a show under that Five Clubs umbrella, the Wagyu Filet Show. And it's essentially us breaking down golf, talking the previous week's golf, plus sharing some stories from behind the scenes, some stories that we experienced. We have, I think, about 700 events between the two of us on the PGA Tour. So there's some pretty good comedic stories on there. But yeah, it's on YouTube, it's on Spotify, it's on all the platforms. So would love to invite guys to go to Five Clubs. There's a bunch of Gary Williams' stuff on Five Clubs. He's got a brand new show called America's Guest, which is phenomenal. It's going to take guys to golf courses they've never heard of that are some of the most beautiful pieces of property you've ever seen. And if you're one of those avid golf fans that likes to find new places to play, this would be the show to watch. That's America's Guest, and that too is on the Five Clubs platform.
And what do you do when you're on the Golf Channel?
I have been an analyst for the Golf Channel. I've been an analyst for Golf Central. I've done a few weeks there. Was on Golf Central a couple of weeks ago for Tiger's event. Unfortunately, he only made it through a round and a half. And then I've been doing some work for PGA Tour Live. I'm an analyst for PGA Tour Live. Do about a dozen weeks a year for them. So it's been great. It's keeping me busy. I like being on this side of it. It's a whole lot less pressure than when you're playing, but it's all very, very enjoyable, and it's fun learning all that goes into actually putting on a golf broadcast as well.
Well, thank you, Brendon, for coming on, and thank you for your time. We appreciate you being here.
No problem. Thank you guys very much for having me.
And as we were just saying, if you want to see more of him, you can check him out on PGA Live, Golf Channel, and Five Clubs Golf as well. So look for all those. You can find the Five Clubs Golf, like you said, on YouTube, anywhere where you find podcasts, pretty much where you can find this podcast as well. So check them both out. Thank everybody for watching. Hit that like, subscribe, notification button, and we'll see everyone next time. Everybody have a great night.